Hello, my name is Sofia DaLuz. This is my PowerPoint called The Need to Recycle on Reducing Human Impact. At the hospital where my parents work, the cafeteria is now using recyclable and reusable containers for their food instead of styrofoam containers. However, they end up in the trash anyway because employees are not recycling them. The result? Unnecessary waste being added to landfills. How do you fill an ocean? The answer? One drop at a time. How do you empty a landfill? One piece of garbage at a time. Little everyday adjustments that last are more impactful than large-scale changes that only stick around for a day. The hospital my parents work at is owned by Providence, which owns 52 hospitals in the US. If all the hospitals owned by Providence made sure containers from their cafeteria were being recycled, that would make a big difference. But it needs to start with individuals recycling the containers and implementing it in one hospital, and then it grows from there. So a couple possible solutions for this problem would be having recycling bins near the door. So on the way out, employees would just recycle instead of throwing containers away. Another option is keeping track of the number of containers recycled by having like a button or like number cards that you can flip so that it's a visual motivator, and there's a physical reward for a desired behavior. Another option is having competition between departments in the hospital, or if multiple hospitals are doing this recycling and already keeping track of how much they are recycling, then there can be competition between hospitals. And you can see, okay, this is the percentage of containers in the cafeteria that are being thrown away versus recycled, and how can we do better? And another option is charging employees maybe $1 or something each time they get a container from the cafeteria, and then if they were to return it to be washed by the staff and thrown away or recycled, if they were to return it, then they could get some cafeteria credit. Another option would be that it would push them to bring their own containers, and yeah. The great thing about these solutions is that there's really no cost other than training the cafeteria staff to know how to implement these solutions. It's not costing the hospital anything, collaterally speaking. In fact, if you were to implement the solution where they were charging for the use of containers, then the hospital would gain from that, as well as having that incentive. So only benefits. I think the main resisting forces would be the cafeteria staff, because they would have more on their plate, no pun intended, and also the employees, because if they're getting charged and it's more out of their way. But the point of this would be to have an incentivize recycling. I think my response to any pushback would be to remind employees of landfills nearby that are running out of space, and also provide them with visual statistics that help put things into perspective and kind of remind them that we all live on this planet, and yeah. We want to keep it alive. So little things and taking it one problem, shrinking it down to something you can act on. So, yeah. Note that this is one small-scale problem having to do with recycling. It's much easier to create solutions if you, again, focus on one small chunk at a time. But yeah, that's the conclusion of my PowerPoint, and I hope that was clear.